Thank you so much. It's so awesome to have a great turnout for the Coffee with the Counselors. It really shows our support to this wonderful team that is willing to take the time out of their schedules to plan some extra stuff for us. And so I'm really excited to let them all introduce themselves to you. Just a few notes. My name is Angela Rodakevich. I'm one of the co-presidents of the PTO this year. Molly is my other co-president. She's right here. And we want to welcome you. We're the hosts, although we do nothing except for pay for the car and show up. We did get a few extra chairs. As people come in, just encourage them. Maybe you sit in the last chair, pull one more out. Just for future reference, I don't know how the parking lot was because I got here a little bit early, but you can always park on the bus ramp. That is the extra parking, really, the extra legal parking. I don't think you're going to get towed out of a student spot or anything, but, and all the students should be here.
Yeah.
But just for next time you come.
Or not, oh well.
But for next time you come, just so you know that the overflow parking is the bus ramp, which, you know, is outside those doors. You have to walk around the front of the building to come in. But as long as you're not there when the buses are dropping off or picking up at the end of the day, that is legal parking. I should have put that in the little book, but maybe next time I'll remember. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to our counseling team. Thanks so much for all being here.
Hi, awesome. Good morning, everybody. This is fun. You guys are all amped up this morning. We're sort of like trying to calm our sophomores down yesterday in our extended ASPEL meeting. So we are going to introduce ourselves, and we thought that the first coffee with the counselors of the year, it would be good for most of us to come down and put faces with names in case you're not sure who your child's counselor is. Mrs. Mitchell is missing. She is in an appointment upstairs, so she's not with us this morning, but she is up there probably dealing with some of the, Brangelina fallout or something. There's a lot of grief counseling going on in the building today with the whole Peg and Jolie, so we're trying to hold it together. So. Excuses if we have to leave early to get back up. So we'll start with Mrs. Brenner. We're going to kind of introduce ourselves so that you know what part of the alphabet we have, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So,
I'm Megan Brenner. I work with students beginning the alphabet, A's, B's, and C, D. So that is my alphabet. I do not. I don't have any CC's either. And I also work with the students who attend our A's Academy.
Good morning, I'm Brian Sweeney. I have students with last names CE through F. So good morning. Glad to see your smiling faces.
and I'm Ann DK. I have GHI. So.
And then Rose Mitchell has JK and L. And then I'm Chelsea Rose, and I have students last name M through PN.
And I'm Bonnie Stevenson, and I have students PO through SS, which I lovingly refer to as the posse.
I'm Brenda Fisher. I'm a student assistance counselor, so I could really see any students A through Z. And my coworker, Mark Millette, who works part-time in student assistance and part-time in the post-secondary planning center, is at a college breakfast this morning, so he sends his regrets.
I'm Cicely Caribbean, and I'm a school counseling intern from UC. I'm working in both departments.
And good morning, I'm Ron Wellskamp. I'm a counselor at the end of the alphabet, ST through Z. So welcome today.
So that's it. That's all we have. Thank you for coming. So we met earlier in the year to kind of re-look at Coffee with the Counselor and what kind of topics would be pertinent and things that you would like to hear based on some things that we did last year and what we should do going forward. Today's overall topic is a high school success plan, or just helping your son or daughter, no matter what grade level they are, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We know we have a mix of everything in here, and different ways to help them. And so one of the things that we discussed was that the Q&A part of the Coffee with the Counselor seems to be the most popular part of it. And while we are all here, and some of us have to kind of come and go a little bit this morning, so counselors, when they have to take off or head up to an appointment, they will go. I will be here the whole entire time, and I think a couple other of us will be until 10 o'clock. So what we thought we would do today, or how we would handle today, is kind of give you a quick little recap of the year so far, which we have now met with all seniors, juniors, and sophomores in our small group extended A-Spell sessions, which are new this year, which we did explain at the end of last year in one of the PTO meetings and the first one this year. But basically what the extended A-Spells do is they give the counselors a 40-minute block of time to meet with our part of the alphabet in kind of split in half by grade level, if that makes any sense. So, for example, yesterday we met with all of our sophomores. We each average about 65 to 70 sophomores in each part of the alphabet. And so we had like a group, in a perfect world, it would have been split down the middle, but we had basically, say, like a group of 35 and a group of 30 in like a classroom setting with each counselor yesterday. And we did that with the juniors 2 weeks ago and the seniors actually the first week of school when we went over the college application process and kind of got them all squared away. So freshmen are coming. We kind of let them work through all of their like little high school stuff and get their feet wet and learn the ropes a little bit before we get with them. So that'll be our next one. We have also had our senior parent meeting in the evening, our junior parent meeting, and our sophomore parent meeting last night. So that's kind of where we are in terms of meeting with kids, meeting with parents, and kind of getting the school year underway. And now we're deeply immersed in the college application process with our seniors. So with that, that's where we are. And so we're sort of here for your burning questions and any kind of conversation or dialogue that you would like to have. So if anybody else wants to sort of jump in on that, or hands already. Okay, awesome.
I have a question. On your Facebook page, you guys posted, I don't know when, maybe it was yesterday, today, last week. It said sign up for student support groups by September 27th to learn more. But there's like no explanation, and when you click on the link, you're blocked. So I was like, I don't really understand what that is. And I was like, is that for kids? Is that for students? And is that, I just couldn't understand the form.
Sure. Okay, I'll take that. In the student assistance area is where we have student support groups. And last year was the first time that we had a Google form for students to actually sign up if they wanted to do it electronically versus a paper form. We still have a paper form that students can sign up with in the counseling center. And we run our groups based upon what students are asking us for. So there are various topics, and they are offered throughout the school day on a weekly basis, and they rotate bells. So for example, one of the things that students are asking us for, and we're having on Wednesdays during ACE-BEL, which is collaboration day for ACE, is a group regarding mindfulness and guided meditation as a stress management and kind of a relaxation opportunity for students. And so that's something that actually students are helping to co-lead that as well. So we've got some counselors that are in there as well as students that are helping to co-facilitate that. Again, your student should have received an email with that Google Doc link, and there are paper forms in the counseling center. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
I think the issue with the Facebook, if it collected student ID numbers, then it wouldn't have been accessible on Facebook, which was something that I just didn't think about when I posted that. So I can repost that with the a scanned version of the hard copy, and then that way you can actually see what all the student groups are. Or have your student log in. So, thank you for saying that.
And actually bringing up the Facebook thing just real quickly, for those of you who weren't here in the first PTO meeting or haven't seen any of it, Mrs. Renner is in charge of our Facebook, and it's fantastic, some of the information that goes out. And it's not just deadlines or reminders and dates of things, which it is also that and very important, but there's some really cool like articles that she sends out, or just like different information about student opportunities in addition to stuff that is in our every other Tuesday newsletter that's going out as well. So if you don't follow us on Facebook, we're at ABES Counselors, also on Twitter. But as we explained to the sophomores yesterday, the Twitter's kind of for them and the Facebook's kind of for you. Hitting those two demographics
The
there.
Facebook
So.
is SHS counselors.
You should be able to find us under both.
Can you, okay.
Yeah. And I guess just a little thing about that. Hopefully everyone here has received an email from the counseling office with our newsletter. We send it out every other week. That was based on feedback we got from this year's 10th through 12th grade parents and guardians on how often they wanted information from us, what kind of information did they want. And we have a Facebook and Twitter page. The same information goes out on both pages, so don't feel like you need to follow us on both. It is the same, so you can do whatever is most comfortable for you. You'll get more frequent information on Facebook or Twitter. The newsletters we send out every 2 weeks, but it really should be the same information on both. And then we have also revamped our website this year so that everything is also there. So if you don't like to get the newsletter or you just miss it, you can always go to our website. There's a newsletter link, and you can go to the current and past newsletters. There's a new web page or new site just for seniors. It talks all about the application process. There's a new site for juniors with all the information for juniors. So we've tried to, over the last few years, but particularly this year, consolidate all of our information, make it as easy for you guys as possible to get what you need, and at least get the basics that we send out. So.
The sophomore parent meeting, I was unaware of that, and I went online, I even called the school, nobody knew anything about it. Was there information available, I don't know if you guys did a PowerPoint presentation or anything that we could access, or should we just, I don't know, what information was conveyed in that?
What was that?
Who wants to take that one? How about the intern? You're up.
I will say that just like we've done with the junior and the senior parent presentations, on the next newsletter, the PowerPoint and the information from that session will be shared in the next newsletter too.
But what would be, just for future, what would be a good place to look? Because I looked on the counselor's calendar, called the school, and there wasn't, no one knew anything about, and my daughter just.
You know,
learned about yesterday.
there was an oversight on our part.
When was it?
Putting the information out for that, and we apologize. We had a giant crowd of 5 parents last night. We had equal staff there.
You actually was one-on-one.
Yeah.
Can we do it again?
So
Can we do it again?
Will we do it again?
Yeah, there's a lot of parents that would be interested
Yeah.
in hearing the information.
I think we're going to sit down tomorrow at our department meeting and evaluate what happened and potentially put together another meeting for you.
Great, thank you.
So that brings up a really interesting, I don't know, something that we're tossing around in our meetings. So we had unbelievable attendance at the senior night, probably what, Mr. Bader? Would you say, how many people at the senior parent night? It was like
275, 300.
Yeah, like close to 300 people, a lot, also at the junior night. Something happened with the sophomore one, we're not sure. We'll figure it out. The freshman one, we won't make that mistake. That'll be coming up in, yeah. So we have talked about, we now do Facebook Live. So when we have those parent presentations, like when we did the senior one, we were being videotaped live via Facebook, Mrs. Brenner, and we are right now with that little tripod thing back on the vending machine.
Ready wave.
So is the day of a live parent evening presentation still a thing? Or is it better to record those presentations or make those presentations and have them always accessible by clicking a link on our webpage and seeing it at your own time? Like kids can access, lectures online or virtual school or whatever, are we still wanting, do you still feel that there's a need or a demand for those presentations in school versus just providing all of that information still in a recorded, it would still be us or a financial aid officer or whatever, but something that you could click on and watch?
You can do that with Facebook Live. I mean, you watch it now, you can watch it later. You just can't interact with this later.
Right, right.
I personally like both. I wouldn't give up any, because having the live meeting here, we can ask questions. It's a different flow.
Okay.
And there's the connection piece that I think is important.
That's good feedback. It's really good. That's what we wanted. That's what we need to know if we're spinning our wheels, or if we could be more efficient in a different way and it worked for you as well.
I think
having the meeting here also will force parents that have the time to come up to be very intentional about spending that hour or whatever that time. For me to sit and watch an hour video at home, and I can't watch it on 1.5 or heavens forbid 2 times like the kids can. I can't listen like that. You talk fast enough as it is, you know.
She's the best.
But I do think offering both is awesome because some people just simply can't do that and rather listen to that from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock.
It's great for spouses, because typically you have one parent running kids somewhere or the other, so that way they can see exactly the students.
So it's a yes.
You always have someone that's gonna bring up something that triggers something for some, just having a recording, I think you lose some.
Okay. Okay. All right, done.
What we can promise you is, first, we apologize for the mix-up last night. But we can tell you that we have 3 calendars, facility calendar, we have the calendar online, we have our internal calendar. We are reconciling those. It should be 1 calendar. Unfortunately, we're not at a place where we can have 1 calendar yet. We'll get there. It'll be the facility calendar that will populate the website. And that's what turns on the AC and all those things. But we are
We did have air conditioning last night, so we know it was on 1 calendar. We've got 300 people in the building with no AC, so
If you're at the senior one, you know it hit the right calendar, but it didn't hit the AC calendar. You see our
It was nice and chilly.
So we are reconciling those calendars. We apologize, but we'll have a make-up date or a plan to make sure you get that information.
I don't. Okay.
I don't know how appropriate it is for everybody, but in the junior meeting, the ACT is now being offered in March by the school. We understand, Mr. Mayor? And, so I have 2 questions. One is, well, maybe 3. One is, will the writing portion be offered at that on-site? Because you guys were recommending if you take it twice, at least take it once with writing. So I wondered if that one is offering writing. And then the other thing is, it's in March, should we take it before March too, to make that our second one, or is there time?
We have an update.
In the application process?
So we have an update for that. Do you wanna take that, Mr. Vader, with the spring break
Sure.
issue and the date?
The state has finally come out and said you're allowed 2 dates for the school paper edition. There's some other ones for the online edition. For our students currently, we believe that the paper edition is the best. The 2 dates they allow us is March 21st, I believe, which is our spring break, and we didn't think we'd have great attendance. So the other date is April 19th, so we'll be offering the in-house on April 19th.
Writing?
Is writing included in that?
Right, that's a great question. I'll find that out. I believe it is non-writing
Okay.
that the state is offering for free.
That is juniors only.
Juniors only.
But it's a new mandate for juniors, so next year's, unless something changes with the state, this year's sophomores will have it next year.
Next year, yeah.
So then they should maybe take it before April as their second one with writing?
I would say it depends on the student.
Yeah, it depends
For
on.
some students, if they're ready and they wanna do it earlier, before April, and then April would be great. Some, it's better to have more content and curriculum and
Are there
classes,
some in the
so
summer?
June will be the last one.
June, so April and June would be.
Yeah,
Okay.
but April and June would still be great.
And
You
then
can still do the September administration in
Correct.
time
Senior year.
for, at least ACT has a September administration that's still plenty of time to get.
Okay, so June or September for the second. And then, I guess my last question is SAT too. In Ohio, which is more prevalent, required, do you recommend they go ahead and take the SAT also, or I just want somebody to say yes?
So, you guys feel free to jump in at anyone.
I would say try them both.
Yeah.
We recommend both.
Okay.
And I'll just do in my experience, that my son took both and he did not like the SAT, so he ended up doing the ACT actually 3 times, which is one too many, but it was okay. So it's really a preference, but we encourage both just so that the student can like experience both and see the difference. Because there are differences.
And they won't know which one they do better on until they actually take them. There are plenty of sites out there you can go to that'll wax poetic about which one's better, which one's easier for which kind of student. And I take all of that at a grain of salt because every student is different. So you really have to take them to know which one is better for that student. Now, I will say, they do get expensive. I mean, it's about $48 a test. So if that's a concern, which is completely understandable, both ACT and SAT have free downloadable practice tests. So your student can, at home in a quiet location, simulate a test, time it and everything, and take it that way, and then say, oh, okay, they score their tests, there are comparison charts available that compare the scores, and say, oh, my ACT score is higher, or my score is about the same, I prefer the SAT, then just took that test. So that's another way to do it without.
From a requirement standpoint, Ohio State.
But yes, so every college in the country will take either test.
There's no preference anymore. There used to be. So there's no preference on the end of the college for ACT or SAT. Now, some of the selective schools will still want to see SAT 2s, but those are subject area tests similar to like AP exams. And so that's just something that we tell the students, make sure you know what your colleges, the colleges that you'll be applying to, what they require, but it's a very small number with the SAT 2s. And by 2s, I mean the number 2, not 2 as in also. They're subject specific subtests of the SAT. But colleges no longer have a preference as to which test.
And they utilize a conversion chart, so everything ends up being an ACT score in the end, or an SAT score.
I have one thing. One thing we also found out with our kids taking the test, the ACT is a much faster paced test, and some kids have a hard time finishing the sections in time if they work at a slower pace. So sometimes you need to take both and see which one they adapt to the best. But with practice, you can speed up.
Yeah, that's right.
But you gotta take it one time to find out.
Yeah.
Now, at least historically though, they have had experience here at the school with the PSAT, and isn't that similar to
To
PSAT, so
PSAT.
you have some feel there?
It's a good argument to have your kids take the PSAT, which we're registering for right now. It's through Friday.
Thursday.
Late registration
Oh, you can
tomorrow.
still get some money for that, is that right?
Yeah, it's good luck. It's good luck. No. Wait, nicely put, 10 days.
May I ask a question about the conversion charts? The SATs, from what I understand, in the past year, they were kind of reconfigured or reformulated. And so have the conversion charts been updated? So that's like question one. And how does that configure with someone's decision to take one versus the other? So for me, I'm leaning more towards a test that has not been configured in the recent past, and then taking the second, which is the ACT, from what I understand, and also encouraging my child, which I've already done, to take the SAT. She took, I don't even know which one she took, if she took the last old one or the first new one, right? So, but that is something that was my question about the conversion chart. How do they even have that data yet, because it's so new?
The conversion chart is really long, because it's like a new SAT score converts to what old SAT score and vice versa, and then how does the new convert to an ACT? So colleges hopefully have a mechanism inside their system that's
But
using all of that.
You say the new conversion chart is available, but it is like, what was it, 8 pages? Because it converts the new SAT to everything. New SAT to old SAT, new SAT to ACT. So it's there, and we can add it to our website too, but it is searchable, you can find it.
So is it the last old SAT was in March?
March was the new one.
March
was the first.
March was the
one.
first one.
Yeah.
You can do the conversions on the SAT site.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
What kind of support do you have for freshmen regarding study skills, organization? Because that has been like a mountain climbing since the beginning, so.
You look tired.
Sorry, I'm living with him, so.
So, good question. That is something that we are working on as a staff. Historically, there has not been any, like, we don't have any formal class, study skills, organization skills, things like that. What we do have currently, is if a student is really struggling with, especially with organization, we have what's called fast track study halls, where they're teamed up with an upperclassman mentor to kind of help them learn those organizational skills. That is not something a student's automatically put in, and unless we know that they have that issue, or parents requested it, or teachers made that recommendation. There's kind of few spots here and there left, so if that's something that, you know, you feel like your freshman or sophomore could benefit from, certainly we could look at that. This year, for students that are not taking, well, it's not for freshmen, but for sophomores and juniors that are not taking the PSAT, we'll have a day where they're gonna be doing Cornell Note seminar, time management seminar, ACT and SAT prep. There's another piece. Yeah, some college and career readiness, so.
And we will be videotaping those, and those will be a resource for everyone.
We also have after-school help sessions in all the subject areas, as well as guided study halls, which I know it sounds like a lot, but the fast track study halls, there's a teacher in that room, and then there are upperclassmen that the kids are paired with, like a mentor-mentee situation. Guided study halls are subject specific. If they're struggling in English, math, science, or social studies, there are specific study hall periods throughout the day where it's a teacher's duty period to help with math or help with science or whatever. And usually when we get wind of that, and we look at their schedule and we see how we can get them into one of those guided study halls during the school day. Sometimes it's help with just that day's problems, math problems. Sometimes it's, you need to get organized. What is this mess here you have going on? All this stuff, you know, and the teacher will kind of help them with some other skills along those lines. So probably more supports in the school day than any other school I've ever known of or been to. And then the after-school help sessions as well.
But
Just-
as part of our transition initiative that we keep focusing on, like with freshman camp, we're changing that again, to make it a little bit more conducive. We have a meeting with the junior high today, 2-hour meeting, yuck. We will bring that up on where does that fit for 8th graders coming into high school? Is it something that we can place in the curriculum down at the junior high and then we emphasize it up here, or where does that fit? Because that is a resounding piece that we hear in the transition, study skills organizations.
Just so everyone knows, we also have 2 of our assistant principals back here, along with Mr. Mader, Dr. Eugenia Mack, and Mr. Derek Richardson. So, good to see you guys. Ask them questions.
In the advertising for today's coffee, we were kind of led to believe that you guys might be talking about like scheduling and over the course of, so I have a freshman, I have an 8th grader, and I have a 7th grader, so this is like something that's, I've got 2 kids on each end of the spectrum, 2 with special needs and 2 with advanced. I've been hearing lots of different things about, you know, at the high school you have, you know, AP classes, and then there's a couple of honors classes, and then you kind of have your regular ed classes. Could you guys speak to like a general course of action that, you know, students might take? I don't know exactly what I'm trying to ask, but.
Well, we can start with kind of the basics that we talked about in our sophomore meeting yesterday, like graduation requirements. So does everybody know how many credits of math the student needs to graduate? 3, 4, 4. English? 4. Science? 3. Social studies? 3. Including what courses?
Government, American history. You guys are great.
U.S. government, American history, and world history. PE? 2 classes equaling a half credit, because they're worth 0.25 credit. Health? 1. And then electives, nobody will know that. 5.5. And how many years of global language?
None.
It depends on where they're going to college, and whether college is
None required to graduate.
So there's,
No, that was for me, because I.
Yeah, none is required for graduation. Colleges like to see at least 2 years of the same language. The more selective schools, students tend to have 3.
So what we talk to kids about is, and parents, is being appropriately challenged. And that means something different for every student, for every parent that is in any of those presentations. And we talked to our kids about it yesterday. So at Sycamore, there is the gamut of different levels and type of challenging classes, from the standard level to academic, which is the basic college prep level, and an honors, accelerated, and AP. And we talk to kids about their rigor in their curriculum, and that you do not have to take honors or accelerated or AP classes to go to college. However, if your college dreams involve very selective schools, the rigor of what you're taking becomes a huge part of that equation. And so determining what level is a real team decision based on the student, their current teachers, the parent, the counselor, former teachers, for recommendations. And so it's not magic, but it kind of just works. You know, what we tell kids is if you're taking all academic classes and you are sliding through with all A's and you're not sweating at all, it's time to dip your toe into some honors or accelerated or maybe an AP class. We don't want the opposite of that, which are these completely stressed out, filled with anxiety monsters who live in your house. So it's a process, it's a village in determining that, but there's really, at Sycamore, something for everyone.
What about, those that might be more along on the vocational path? How does that work through Sycamore? Cause I know that that's an option.
Absolutely. We talked about this with our 5 parents last night at softball.
Yes, like the whole community knows about it.
Yeah, right. It's spreading like wildfire. So we are part of the Great Oaks system. I think it's something that's underutilized by our student body here. So in their sophomore year, actually in November, the sophomores are going to hear about the Great Oaks. They're going to have a presentation, learn about that. They will apply in the spring of their sophomore year, and then go their junior and senior year. They're generally 2-year programs. They get certifications in a number of different things. Often they'll get college credit as well while they're there. They can come out, graduate with a Sycamore diploma, have a certification in some area, start working right away. And a lot of students that go to the Great Oaks still go to college. So it is a phenomenal facility. We have Scarlet Oaks, which is up in Sharonville. If you've never been there and you have a freshman or sophomore that could potentially be interested, go check it out. We will also have a field trip for sophomores that they can sign up to go visit.
I think that's usually in January.
Yeah.
Usually. So like they'll hear about it, I think in December. There's a field trip in January. 8th graders go too. So everyone should have seen that when they were in 8th grade. Although I think last year they had someone from Scarlet Oaks come and talk to them, but usually they go. So they'll learn about it. And Scarlet Oaks and Live Oaks and all the different Oaks campuses will have an open house, an evening open house too. When we know those dates, we'll make those available, but they'll be on their websites too, where teachers are available, so you can go and you can ask questions of the teachers, you can hear about the different programs and instruction and what college credits they can earn. So I agree, it's really great.
It is important to know that honors only exists in English and math, not in science and social studies.
So I just, a couple of days ago, took a tour of the engineering and robotics facility at Scarlet Oaks because my sophomore son, who is accelerated in honors, was very interested in becoming an engineer and was thinking about this hands-on approach. And what I want to know, my husband and I like the idea, but we have some concerns if you're looking at a selective college and we think of these 2 hours a day in a robotics lab with hands-on experience, and it seemed like it was really an amazing, well-run program, and all the kids go to college. Do you think that that affects him negatively in his application? And I'm not sure it would affect us either way if he really wants to do it, but I'm wondering.
That's a unique bird,
Yeah.
really, that kind of student. That being said, I don't think I think yes, there's probably gonna be some schools that if he doesn't have some of the classes that we offer here, so if he was a full-time Scarlet Oaks student, you know, where he's not getting maybe some of the AP sciences that we offer.
No, the way they structure it, the way it was explained to me is you spend your morning in Sycamore.
Okay.
Here, you to get all your AP and honors classes out of the way. He wouldn't be able to fit in a language, but he could do that at UC Blue Ash.
Yeah.
These would be basically his elective classes. That's how they're proposing it to us. I wonder what you think.
That was gonna be the one piece that I was gonna mention, is that students always feel, especially sophomores, they're just finding their place here at Sycamore, and then it's like, hey, and next year you could go off to this other school, and maybe there's an enticing program, but they feel like then they're gonna be completely disconnected from Sycamore, and
is really unique. And so much is changing in education right now in terms of what school looks like and what school is. From a blended, part-time in the high school, part-time online, or online in the high school, and then experiential learning outside of the building. And so school is looking very different, and we are like on the cusp of those changes. And Sycamore is on the cusp of that as well, in some of its long-term vision. The safest answer with that, because it's tricky, and Mrs. Wellskamp, I wish she was here, because her son has done some interesting sort of hybrid approach to his education, and he's a senior in high school. But while it's impossible to probably know where your son or your daughters are going to attend, especially if they're in 9th or 10th grade, it's not bad to call the colleges or to research that and say, what do you think about, if my student does a program at the vocational school, and how is that going to impact their admissions? And they are gonna give you probably some wishy-washy answer, because it's scary. A lot of universities would say, we'd rather they stay at their high school and they take the rigorous core curriculum that you offer. But I see that changing.
Yeah.
So I see that changing.
I see there being a lot of options.
I mean, right now he's taking ceramics, yeah, which is great, if you were interested.
Yeah.
And he could be taking robotics, that was
Yeah.
my, okay,
Yep.
excellent, thank you.
Things have changed. I know the application for college process is extremely different now, but they used to say, you can always explain yourself in your essays. Is it not an option anymore where they can have that opportunity to say, I did this, and have that be where they stand out? I mean, I guess the question, is that an option?
Yes, that's still an option.
Okay.
That's still an option. Sometimes there's a little bit of a disconnect between what the colleges tell us or what they willingly share with us and what we know to be fact or true based on what we see happen to our students. So we're always careful to say, this is it, or this will absolutely happen, or if you do this, this, and this, you'll get this. Because sometimes we find out after you find out about certain things that are changing because you get the information mailed to you at home and we don't. So it's hard to give a black and white. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the trend toward early decision? And there's some universities that have a huge percentage of their incoming freshman class that they take from early decision, and what your thoughts are about that.
So early decision is a great idea if, so applying early decision to a college is basically a legally binding contract between the family, student, and the university that if you are accepted under the early decision, that you have to attend there and withdraw all your other applications. So,
And
the
it will say
plus
it's
side,
formally signed by the student, the parent, and the counselor. All
saying
saying
that
they
everybody
understand
is
what that
aware
means.
of this binding
But I think
contract.
the financial thing has an effect. I think if you're a financial aid student and they can't cover you.
Yeah, if there's a cost piece there. If you can't afford to go to that school, then they will release you from.
But you need to make sure whose decision is that you can't financially afford.
So the trend, I don't know that it's really a trend. I've actually seen a lot of trend away from that. But the colleges will say you have a little bit better chance of being accepted if you apply under early decision because, they are always trying to get their yield as accurate as possible. In other words, the number of yeses that they send out, they want the percentage of those kids to be really high who say, yes, we now will attend. So they're always using their analytics and their systems, the math, to try to correctly predict who to offer admission to based on who they think will actually come. So I know that sounds like really weird, but it's a math formula and it's something that they spend a lot of time on. So under the early decision policy, they know that whomever they accept will be coming. So kids who, usually it's for the more selective schools. And like I know I have a couple kids this year applying early decision to, one to Harvard, a couple to some other places. And then if they don't get in under early decision, it doesn't necessarily mean they didn't get in. A lot of times then they just get deferred to the regular decision pool. So it just kind of depends. Jump in.
That being said though, step back a second because I know we have some freshman, sophomore parents in here too. While they're here at Sycamore, like for freshmen and sophomores, we want them to have an experience here. Yes, we're gonna talk about college with them, we're gonna dabble in that, but they still have several years before they're at that process. And so what we've done as a school here to create some learning communities and offer some new courses to have students dip their toes in, have some experiences, even if it's something they're not sure they love. This is something that we did not have when we were in high school of really trying to find out where your interests are before you get to college. So they're not wasting mom and dad's money finding themselves. So we encourage all of our students when we get to that scheduling process in the spring, we're sitting down with every student individually, we're going over our courses and we're asking them what their interests are, or suggesting, hey, maybe try this, whether it's an engineering class or it could be a fashion design class, whatever the case may be. We want our students while they're here to kind of have that experience. So when we are at that college application process, they have a better idea of maybe what school they want to attend, what they want to major in. I have seniors ask me, Mr. Sweeney, what should I major in? I don't know. Let's throw a dart at it. I mean, I can't answer that question.
You can always be undecided.
Yeah, you can be undecided, and then maybe you'll graduate in 5 or 6 years. Yeah. But yeah, we'll go do that.
That's an interesting thing that you say, because you say we try to get the freshmen and sophomores to, have a more broad experience. So I try to broaden my daughter's experience by pushing her social studies back, because you need 3 social studies a year, like to sophomore year, so she can try to take some more of those classes, because she's got an IEP, so she's in the academic studies, so she doesn't get to have as many class experiences. So, but I wasn't allowed to do that. So now that puts all of those elective classes, your junior and senior year, because you have to get through those core classes. So I think it's awesome. I think the choices that you have are amazing, but I'm finding it difficult to be able to get her into those so she can learn now. Do I really need to be taking French? Because I'm not going to go to a super academic school. I don't need to be taking French. She wants to take some of those other classes that are more interesting to her. So I don't know if there's a way to
What I would suggest
add
for-
extra things in, or what.
For something like that, I would have your student look at all the activities and clubs we have after school. I mean, we have an engineering club and a biology club and creative writing and
Computer
Shakespeare
science.
club, computer science. So there's all kinds of great things that, because yes, their freshman year, they really don't have many choices. They don't. There are classes we have to get in. They may have one semester elective that they can pick. Sometimes more. But looking at all of our activities and clubs, or even sports, or any of that stuff, is a great way for them to just branch out, try something new, have a new experience. If they try a club and decide that they really get into it and give it their all and they don't like it, that's okay, because they've learned something. They've learned something about themselves and they've grown. If they find something that they do like, then that's fantastic. And then hopefully we can help them as the years go on kind of fine tune that and try other things or try other classes. And that's our goal, is to figure out how do we help them experience as much as they can so that they can figure out what they're really interested in, and then they have an idea of what they might want to do when they're done with high school.
Actually, Mrs. Brandon, you had posted a really interesting article recently on the Facebook page. It was about it was about parents being a little bit more involved with
We're
their
coaching.
kids, in high school versus how the traditional thinking has been in high school you just kind of let them be and find their independence. But what I was thinking is that there's a big balance there that you have to achieve, and I was just wondering what to expect of the kids here as they go through, like freshman year onwards, as far as developing independence.
So the article she's referring to is this interesting article I saw on Facebook about research that has been done in a bunch of different research studies, and about how student success is tied to like the different parenting styles and how different things parents can do to help encourage their students for success. That's an oversimplification, but so it's really interesting because it goes against all the articles you see about helicopter parenting and being careful and not doing
doing too much. But it was really interesting because I took away from it more about the coaching. And I see that a lot of our role too is that we're here to help coach children. So if a student comes to me, a teen comes to me and is struggling in a class or wants to do something interesting, I see that as a way for me to help coach them. Okay, how do you do that? How do you go and talk to a teacher that you're struggling in class with? And that for them is developing interpersonal skills, relationships, and I think that's all of it. So, I mean, our expectations of students really vary through the years. I expect seniors to be much more independent than I do freshmen. I think freshmen, we're guiding them and teaching them how to do these things. And seniors, I'd like to see the seniors come to me and say, hey, I need this, this, and this. How can you help me with that? Instead of getting a phone call or an email from a parent that says, hey, my student needs to do these things. I would rather have them
do it and don't tell them I called you.
It's, you know, but I think, you know, it's really, it is, I agree with you. I think it's a big balancing act of who is your student, what supports do they need so you're not doing it for them, but over time they're being coached and guided so that they leave high school and are ready.
The other thing that I think is becomes a problem is that you want them to make mistakes so they learn, but you don't want them to make such mistakes that they can't recover from.
Yes.
Because the college application process is so uneven that a mistake that you can't recover from becomes a huge problem. So
Like John.
yeah, I just don't know how
You're right.
to achieve that balance.
You're right, because, go ahead. You've been so patient.
Shameless plug for the tool that you guys already have out there. There's kind of some solutions. It's a lot of the questions that have been asked in the last 5 minutes is the Naviance personality test.
So I was just gonna bring that up. Yesterday, our sophomores in our meetings had to start the test that is being referred to, which is called Do What You Are. And Do What You Are is really the Myers-Briggs personality test and the strong interest inventory meshed together. And so it asked them a series of questions, and like I told we all told our students, answer honestly, not who you wish you were in this scenario, but who you really are. Your first gut reaction, and what happens, and you can ask them about it. The test is called Do What You Are, and it's free. We pay for it. It's part of their subscription to Naviance that we purchase as a district. And it elicits a very detailed report of their personality, their strengths, their weaknesses, their blind spots, their learning style preferences, and possible jobs or college majors that they should consider. So they started it yesterday in our sophomore meetings. It doesn't take them very long, but we did tell them that if they didn't get finished, to go back in there and finish it. It's really interesting. I told my students that when they read the report, it should almost feel creepy, like somebody has been following you around for the last 10 years, and they know your little nuances and your preferences and your weaknesses and so on, if they answer it honestly and with their gut. And that is a great starting point. So it was a really good segue from kind of what we're talking about.
Explain like what builds off of that.
Yeah, so last year we implemented the Aviator Flight Plan. You probably have seen that places. So what that is, the state said, here's this mandate, again, career connections. And so what Sycamore District did is we sat down with the committee, counselors, teachers from all different levels, and we said, okay, this is great. We already do a lot of things. So we kind of pulled together everything that we did. We had students create a website laying all of those pieces out. And so we each year execute the Aviator Flight Plan for each grade level. So we have come up with activities, and ours is mainly housed within Naviance. The 7th and 8th grade also uses Naviance. And so they do all their activities in there. So we, based on what the state says we need to do each year, pulled out the activities that best fit those criteria for students. So each year they'll log into their Naviance account, and with the extended A-spells, we'll be introducing their activities for that year. Yeah, it's a little challenging because it's not a required thing that they get a grade for or something like that. So getting them to follow through, but with the extended A's, we'll have more time to kind of have more conversations about what the results are, how it can link. But what's really cool about the different assessments they do, so this year they do the Do What You Are and they do career interest profile. So this is for sophomores. So they started the Do What You Are yesterday. Some even moved on to start that career interest profiler. So those are two great assessments that they can pull reports from. What that report will say is here are career clusters, here are things you're interested clusters the different careers that fall within that category. They can look at that career, they can look at the 5 strengths and abilities of people who work in that career field. They can list daily work tasks. A lot of students say, I want to be X. They read those tasks and they say, that sounds like nothing I want to be involved in. It's sitting at a computer all day or running reports or different things. So it gives them a good feel of what that might be like. And then they explore on, they can see the wages in each state, the average salary. And then they can also search where it would say, okay, you want to go into this career field, here are the list of majors that can get you here. Because I think college majors are always this thing that kids hear about, I need to major in something, I need to major. So it lists out exactly what majors could get them on the path. Because there's not always a simple answer. 9 times out of 10 when you talk to people in career fields, they'll say, well, I majored in psychology, but I'm doing something unrelated. So that then, with the college majors, they click on that major, it lists out the schools and colleges that offer that major out there.
This is, our sophomores are focusing on that right now, but every student in our building has access to these assessments.
Yes, so we have at different grade levels, we have different tasks that we've assigned them. And they're on, so every student has a Naviance account. Every parent has a Naviance account as well. Junior and senior parents, I think we re-emailed that information to you last week maybe. And I think we still need to do it for freshmen and sophomore parents. We wanted to wait until we talked to sophomores. So we will do that as well. And then freshman, sophomore students, so all the students have received reminders about that information. But then on each of their home pages in Naviance, it lists the tasks for that year. So it lists, and then they can just click on it, it goes right to that. It makes it as easy as possible for the students. But it lists, so freshman year, we want you to do these 3-4 tasks, however many they are. Sophomore year, we think, based on what the state says, we want you to do, here are the 3 tasks. Juniors, I think, have 4 tasks. Seniors have some. So that, and you as parents, when you go to your accounts, if you do that, you'll be able to see what their pages are. You won't be able to do the tasks for them. There are certain things that you can access and edit, and there are certain things that it blocks you out of. Like I couldn't go in and, there are ways that I can get to a student's account through my account, but I can't then hit start and give the student my computer. They literally have to log in. So it definitely makes you, the student, have to do it. But it's really neat.
So one of the tasks